right now, but I'm confident that we'll get through it and we can learn and have fun along the way. Luckily for me, I don't even go outside, so honestly, it's as if the whole world is living as Kristoff now, and you just wake up, go to the computer, and then go to bed. That's my life. But I enjoy it, so maybe you guys share the same life as I do. I do want to remind you guys that we will be streaming every single day next week. The schedule is here on the screen. Zyrene and other pro players will be joining you guys for some games, which will be super fun. So if you want to show off your skills to the whole world, come join us for that. Things are tough right now. There's no sugarcoating it. But what my dad used to tell me, which really made me feel a lot better, was that during these difficult times, people do get a lot stronger. And I know that we're all going to get stronger as a result. And I know that we're going to get a lot better at League of Legends. So enjoy the video, guys. Have a great day. As much as I hate encouraging anyone to play Teemo, he is undeniably worthy of our #1 counter pick in the top lane. Garen, Aatrox, Renekton, and Irelia are all running rampant right now, and Teemo demolishes them in lane if he's played carefully and with patience. The combination of his blind and his movement speed make him very irritating to deal with, as you guys know, especially since the blind can prevent key abilities from landing, like Garen's silence or Renekton's stun. This little monster blinds me before I'm able to hit my Q as Yorick, and can even counter Nasus' Q as well. This guy, ugh. The #1 reason I see Teemo players die is because they get greedy and try to all-in prematurely. So bide your time, whittle them down slowly, and laugh in your field of mushrooms when your opponents have the audacity to try and actually play the game against you. It's not often you can pick Teemo without being accused of trolling, so get it while the getting's good. Volibear is our next strong counter pick in the top lane. Volibear's passive makes him a great brawler, especially in extended fights where he has time to build up his W's attack speed. Right now though, his E's ability to interrupt dashes is what makes him such a viable answer to champions like Jax, Aatrox, Renekton, Ornn, Irelia, and Riven. All of these champions are popular picks that struggle to function when they can't dash around, so lock in the bear and start roaring people into the ground. Once they're down, you're free to maul them to your heart's content. As an added bonus, Volibear is also a pretty gankable champion with his Q, so it's easy to get ahead if your jungler gives you a little early attention. Graves is our first jungle counter pick on the list, and he's back on the Rift with both barrels loaded. Graves has one of the fastest and healthiest clears in the game, in addition to being one of the strongest 1v1 duelists into melee champions. Due to his grit passive giving him additional stats and his relatively low cooldown dash, a player who knows how to kite well is going to find themselves on a mountain of bodies, street sweeping away the popular jungle picks like Lee Sin, Jarvan, Rek'Sai, Olaf, and Kayn. Graves will take your life, then your jungle, then your LP, so make sure you have him in your pocket as an answer to abuse the current meta junglers. Rek'Sai is jungle pick #2, and another example of a jungler who thrives on early pressure. Rek'Sai's early ganks with her tunnels and knockups are insane, and she's a pretty strong counter jungler as well. Being able to take such a proactive role in the jungle makes her a great counter pick against tanks like Jarvan, Sejuani, and Rammus, who can't keep up with her tempo. She also does well into Lee Sin and Kayn, however purely by virtue of matching them at every turn, then out-damaging them for the kill. This is especially true against Lee Sin, since she can knock him up out of his second Q with ease. If you're a player who excels at creating advantages early on, then Rek'Sai is the girl for you. Nocturne mid has ascended in popularity recently, and while he can't be categorized as an OP pick in a variety of situations, he thrives as a counter pick to some of the more popular mid laners right now. With lethal tempo active, Nocturne can outduel almost any melee mid laner in a prolonged fight, especially if they're dumb enough to stay close to him for a prolonged period of time to get feared. On the more macro-focused side of things, his Q gives him the wave clear he needs to wipe out minions and roam with his ult. What makes him such a strong counterpick to champions like Yasuo, Sylas, Diana, Fizz, Zoe, and Zed, however, is the spell shield on his E. All of these champions have very telegraphed abilities they rely on, like Zoe's bubble or Fizz's E, so it's easy for Nocturne to spell shield them and use the attack speed he gains to pop off and grab a kill. Zilean is our second mid lane pick for the list, and honestly, he's always been pretty solid to fall back on. Zilean just has a generally safe kit with the long-range wave clear provided by his double bombs, so picking him against high-damage mid laners that need to kill you in order to stay relevant is almost always a good idea. You're not going to find many highlight reels with Zilean, though we did recently post a Zilean highlight reel on our Instagram. If you're interested in watching highlight reels, go to @proguides where you find a ton of awesome highlight content that we post every day. And just like Nocturne, Zilean capitalizes well against champions that have highly telegraphed abilities that they rely on, since Zilean can more easily choose when to ult and resurrect a teammate. Zoe gives him plenty of time, Zed gives him plenty of time. Basically, any champion that gives Zilean advanced warning on who they're about to pop can be exploited. He's just an all-around solid counterpick. You won't be hard carrying in the traditional look how flashy I am, look at my damage sense, but you'll be pulling the strings for your team's success and keeping them safe from big scary burst damage. Vayne will be the first counterpick for the bot lane in a meta where tanks are glowing. It's no surprise. With her ability to do percentage-based true damage every third auto attack, Vayne is one of the premier anti-tank marksmen in League of Legends. While her short range and abusable laning phase stops her from being an OP pick, you can just lock in whenever you want. She's still a perfectly valid choice if you know what you're up against. 3 or more of the popular ADCs right now, Ezreal, Kai'Sa, and Xayah, can't really punish her that hard in lane. They too want to just kind of sit in lane and scale up, so this environment is ideal for a Vayne. The caveat with bot lane is that the support pairings can now change how matchups work, but that's a whole other can of worms. In short, try to pick Vayne into more passive lanes, not into hard all-in or poke-heavy lanes where you'll be bullied into permanent irrelevance. And if you see some tanks on the enemy team, just do yourself a favor and lock her in. Kalista is our second bot lane counter pick. Similar to Vayne, Kalista has a lot going for her as a champion, but she's too conditional to be just casually picked whenever you feel like it. Her mobility and kite potential is ideal against tankier comps, so if you can get her to late game in one piece, you're pretty much all set. Therein lies the problem, however, since Kalista can be easily abused in lane by certain matchups. Against a lot of the more popular ADCs, however, she can do just fine. Ezreal can't punish her too hard on his own, nor can Kai'Sa or Aphelios. Kate can poke her for a bit, but if Kalista can dodge the skill shots with her passive, she'll win short trades handily with Hail of Blades. Lucian is in a similar scenario where using Kalista's mobility to dodge Lucian's burst can make all the difference. She's a high skill capped champion though, but if you get used to maneuvering your way out of the laning phase, you'll learn to enjoy the luxury of the most obnoxious kiting marksman in the game. Just make sure you don't pick her into a lot of dive heavy comps and you'll be a-okay. Taric is our first support pick on the list, and I, for one, am glad to see he's coming back into the spotlight, even if it's only for certain matchups. Taric is a tanky support with the unique ability to cast his spells from both himself and his allies, which makes him capable of playing both the front line and the back line simultaneously. He has surprisingly strong early trades with his double auto passive, and any AoE stun is a good stun, especially his, since it can be cast from 2 locations. So what's making Taric such a good pick then? Aside from being able to manage 2 points of attention through his Bastion ability, Taric's ultimate has a pretty long delay on it, so timing it against bursty champions is pretty challenging. With the emergence of longer teamfights, however, the timing on Taric's ultimate is a little more forgiving, and having that team-wide invincibility becomes more impactful. He does well against the meta-engaged supports like Thresh, Nautilus, Leona, Blitzcrank, and Pyke, because if they go all in, it's almost impossible to miss his stun. Plus his Bastion's armor-sharing passive makes his carries more resilient to those engages in the first place. He's also a good answer against Yuumi, whose ult is almost as telegraphed as Taric's is. Just pop your ult when she pops hers, and you'll probably negate everything she was hoping to do. He's a weird champion to pick up, but a valuable tool in any support's arsenal. Wrapping things up with a more unconventional pick, Maokai will be our second support counter pick on the list. We've talked about Maokai a decent amount lately in a few different videos, and as we've said, in his current state, he's just an incredibly valuable champion to have on your team. He has so many options for peeling or engaging or just general lockdown and he's particularly good against a lot of the more popular meta picks right now. When Maokai is against all-in champions like Thresh, Nautilus, or Leona, his saplings can keep them from pressuring lane in the bushes, and he can counter-engage onto the enemy carry to equalize things. Against Pyke, this is even more impactful since it becomes harder for him to proc his passive healing. Against enchanters like Yuumi and Nami, his passive's healing is enough to keep him healthy and make a more favorable engage when the opportunity arises. He's even good into Senna, and if that isn't all you need to hear, then I don't know what else to tell you. That's it for another episode of Pro Counters. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and consider subscribing to the channel. And as always, if you want to get better at League of Legends this season, you know where to go. Go to proguides.com, find yourself a challenger coach right now, start climbing the ladder. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck in your next few games.